All righty, here we are, day 11 of Ida Recovery, Thursday, September 9th, and it's good to talk to our friend Dr. B, Dr. Brent Wallis, Chief Medical Officer of People's Health. Hey, Doc, how you?
Hey, Tommy, I'm doing okay. Getting better every day.
Quick question, your house, how'd you do?
The house, actually, we were very blessed. It did okay. The yard, I can't say as much for.
Well, it's been a rough year for all of us, our mental health with the pandemic and now Hurricane Ida. Still some more of hurricane season to go. We have added worry and anxiety, but it's important to know that there are ways to care for your mental health and well-being, and that's what Dr. B is going to talk about now. Doc, for starters, can you explain what your mental health is and how it affects you?
Yeah, sure. Mental health really just includes your emotional, psychological, and your social well-being. It's really, kind of simply how good or how bad you feel. And but it's so important because it really influences the way that you think, the way that you feel, and really how you act towards other people and towards yourself. It really kind of guides how you handle stressful situations like the one that we're in right now.
So what are some of the signs of stress that people might be experiencing?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things people can experience, and everyone kind of experiences things differently. But definitely, if you're having fear or worry about your safety or that of your loved ones, that's very normal. It's very common for people to have changes in their sleep or eating patterns, especially difficulty sleeping or not being hungry and forgetting to eat. You can actually have a lot of worsening of your chronic health problems as well, things like diabetes and high blood pressure. And definitely if you have any mental health issues, those can get worse as well. A lot of people actually turn to alcohol or tobacco, even other drugs, and that's really a bad idea. So, the thing I tell people to try to keep in mind is you're not alone. Everybody in our region went through this. There's definitely a lot of people that have shared experiences. So, don't be afraid to ask for help if you feel like you need it.
We're all affected. I would think the older population maybe more so because, let's face it, you're not the person you once were. Maybe you can't climb up on the roof, look at things for yourself. Maybe you can't do the things physically you used to do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, older adults are definitely more vulnerable than younger adults during a disaster like this, often because they do have those impaired physical capabilities and sometimes chronic health conditions as well, like I mentioned. And then in addition to that, sometimes they have either social or economic limitations that may, cause difficulty for them preparing for a storm or after the storm. Just something as simple as cleaning up your yard may be a lot more difficult when you're older than when you're younger. So you've got to ask for help and kind of recognize what your limitations are.
And there are some lines, and I'll pass those along, that you can call to get some help, some volunteers. Older adults, especially those with chronic conditions, might be worried about the cost of their prescriptions or getting access to health care.
Yeah, definitely. I've heard a lot of questions around this, especially if you evacuated and you're suddenly, in a location that you're not used to. You're having to make sure you brought your medicines with you, or maybe you didn't and you need to get them refilled, but it's a pharmacy you're not used to going to. So the important thing to keep in mind for anyone who has insurance plans is that when the state declares an emergency like they did, you can actually access care anywhere you need to. So all of the barriers, that sometimes are in place for, network providers and network pharmacies and stuff like that are all eliminated during an emergency order. And there's also no additional cost if you do have to go to a location that's not where you normally go or a location that's out of network. So don't let that prevent you from getting your medications or possibly the care you need. You actually can get it wherever you need it. That's very important.
If you're taking medicine, you're taking it for a reason. So make sure you keep taking it. That's very important. So you can call member services if members, People's Health members, right, can call 1-800-222-8600. TTY users dial 711, and you can find out more about hurricane coverage as it relates to prescriptions, etc., at peopleshealth.com. Right, Doc?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, we've got our entire team of member services people and also our care coordinator nurses who are actually reaching out to a lot of our members, trying to make sure they're doing okay. The ones that have evacuated, they're actually reaching out to make sure that they've got their medications and helping them find locations where they can get those medications or seek care if they need them as well. So there's plenty of help available. Just call the number on the back of your card.
A quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about ways to cope with stress and why it is so important to take care of your mental health when times like these happen. 8:20, more with Dr. B, Chief Medical Officer of People's Health, when we return. Time now for traffic on WWL. 8:24, Tommy Tucker, WWL, Day 11 of the Ida recovery, Thursday, September 9th. Talking to our friend Dr. B, Dr. Brent Wallis, Chief Medical Officer of People's Health, about senior health as it relates to dealing with something like this during a disaster. And, Doc, we're all under a lot of stress. What are some ways to cope with it?
Yeah, there are a couple of things you can do. It's important to stay informed, but you definitely want to take a few breaks from all the devastation and stuff that we're seeing on the news and everything. You want to, make sure that you're taking a little bit of time for yourself, slow down a little bit. Don't forget to eat. It's very important during this time, especially for people with chronic medical illnesses, to maintain their diet as best they can. And, if you're having trouble getting food, like a lot of people are right now, there are a lot of points of distribution around the city and the region. Your own website, WWL.com, has a lot of those resources. So you can find some food and make sure you're keeping up with that. You're probably getting plenty of exercise by cleaning up, but take a few moments, too, to maybe get away from that cleanup and walk around the block, talk to your neighbors. It's really important to have those conversations with other people that are really going through the same things, but then also maybe with your family members that are outside of the area to tell them about your feelings. And, one other thing for our seniors in particular is try to maintain your schedule as best you can. It's hard, especially when your power's out, you don't know what day it is. It's important to try to keep your schedule, get up in the morning, shower, brush your teeth, kind of try to go along about everything like it's a normal day and try to maintain a little bit of that normalcy. And don't try to cope with everything using alcohol because that can actually make things worse in the long run.
And, of course, stay hydrated. Why is it so important to take care of our mental health?
Yeah, it's really important, just like physical health is important to maintain your body and everything. Mental health is really important to maintain your mind. And so it really helps you, continue to do what you need to do to make meaningful contributions and be productive and really just cope with the normal everyday stressors of life and these extreme stressors that we have going on right now.
I don't think anything will make you feel better than doing something for somebody else. If you do feel overwhelmed, Doc, what resources are available?
Yeah, there's a whole lot of things you can do. So, I always say, start by talking with your doctor, if you feel comfortable doing that. Many clinics around town are starting to reopen, but those who aren't are offering televideo visits. So especially if you're in a really affected area, pick up the phone, use your cell phone to try to call your doctor and talk with them about it. There's a lot of resources also available online. So if you can get to the Internet, in particular the Louisiana Department of Health website has a whole lot of resources available. They did also set up a disaster distress helpline. You can actually reach that at 1-800-985-5990, or you can text them to talk with us, which is at 66746. And definitely, if you're having any severe thoughts or suicidal thoughts in particular, you can definitely reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and you should do that right away. And that includes if you've got a family member who's really suffering as well.
If you're cleaning up and you get a nail in your foot, you won't hesitate to go to the emergency room or to see a doctor. And really, you need to look at your mental health the same way. Doc, don't you, that it is part of your overall physical health and well-being?
Yeah, it really is. When you suffer from mental health issues or declining mental health, it actually affects every aspect of your life. And so you've got to maintain that and keep as healthy as possible, just like you need to with your physical health.
Thank you, Doctor. I appreciate your time. I really do. Good luck with the recovery, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Tommy. You too.
You bet. Dr. Brent Wallis, our friend, Chief Medical Officer of People's Health. You can find out more about People's Health simply by going to peopleshealth.com/radio. You can call them at 1-800-978-9765. And, of course, you can follow People's Health on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I have a special member services line set up if you need help getting care, getting health care services, or filling a prescription, and you're a member, call 1-800-222-100-222-100-222.